I think it starts back to the educational system. So
Sure.
I observed that while I was just unpacking everybody's thoughts was what is being taught does not equate what happens in the workplace.
Sure.
So we really need to go back to the education system and try to align and make it seamless, because what is happening with the curriculum, it does not look like in the field work.
Sure.
So there's that gap. So you find that you're being taught for so many years, and then they need to retrain you at work for a
Yes.
completely different thing. And I feel like it's wasting resources.
Sure.
And then secondly, it's those degrees really that are just there for the sake of being there.
Sure.
You know, and I think that is setting up the youth for like failure, because I'm not going to name some degrees because I don't want anyone to be discouraged, but you have those degrees where you are done and you're like, okay, what job am I going to do with this?
Sure.
You know, you've used so much money, bursaries and funding from the government, but what are you going to do after that?
Yeah.
And I think the last thing is the degree that you're doing, do you know what it's supposed to do?
Sure.
You know,
Love
you
that.
are there and you are studying, you're excited. We love graduations, we embrace graduations, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do for your personal career? What are you going to do for the government, the economy of South Africa with your job? And there's that gap, and we need to go back to high school. We need to go back to the system, education system, the curriculum. That's the first part of why we feel, and I believe that the youth is unemployable, and not because they are lazy. I don't think everybody is lazy.
Sure.
And then the second part is really, if you have a degree, I'm in the CA stream, right? I'm about to qualify in a few months. I'm excited.
Love that.
But it doesn't end there. And my designation is just a designation. It's not a function of what I do.
Sure.
Like you said, to function in a job, you need certain skills. So they won't say, hey, we're looking for CAs, and then that's it. They need to look for certain types of CAs.
Sure.
Are you able to conduct yourself? Are you able to think out of the box? Are you able to network? Because now you need business, you know? So those are the things that a youth candidate needs to align themselves with. They can't do the same thing that I have, but they are online courses. What can
Sure.
you do in the interim that will make sure that in this economy, you meet the demands of the economy?
Sure.
You know, like the current demand is technology, and it frightens us. We
Sure.
don't want anything that's to do with tech, but that's the reality of our economy. Even though I'm an accountant or an auditor or in the finance space, I need to make sure that to be able to do my work, they will use robots one way or the other.
Yeah, sure
so those
thing.
are the ways that you need to be specific and also be broader. And then the broader skills are really soft skills.
Sure.
We look down on soft skills.
Sure.
I'm a big girl on soft skills, right? I believe so much that you can be taught technical.
That's
you can be
true.
taught how to do a job. You can be trained how to do a job.
Sure.
But how you do it, how you treat people, how you conduct yourself, that's a different ballgame. So you don't need to lose the soft skills of it, how to communicate well, how to network, how to present yourself, and all of those things, and how to lead other people
Sure.
with empathy and love, and then the technical aspects of things.
You know what? I love your answer. It's so packed. I mean, at this point, I even feel like we should have a different episode and unpack every little detail there. One of the things that I love that you said, one guest actually said it without saying it how I'm saying it right now, to say being able to connect with people is a superpower.
100%.
And people take those things for granted. I saw, not to make this about Dyasi, but I saw somebody who said, what type of skill would you need to sell earrings? It's just earrings, right?
guys.
I saw the other day they came for Umatebe, who's also a corporate girlie, and she was mentioning the little things in the CVs that she felt like people need to improve on. People were like, it's just a sales job. Why are you guys being so pedantic, right? But it goes back to what you're saying. People don't understand. It's the little things that make you particular. Companies need to be convinced why they shouldn't use a robot and they should use you. You understand that you're competing with a high functional thing.
Sure.
You know? And like you said again, we run away from this technology. If something is going to take away your job, you better be looking at how to do better than it. You better be able to offer something that it can't offer, like going back to being able to connect with people, how you handle people. Robots can never do that. Robots can never be able to sympathize, to relate and stuff, but you can do that. So you need to utilize that professionally in the workspace, but people don't even do that. People are just like, I've got a degree, give me a job.
That's like the bare minimum, literally. That's like entry level to anything.
And that's why you'd see a lot of people are chasing their masters, their MBAs and all of that, because guys, undergrad is just that.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, and which is why I really love what you said about the curriculum, working towards a curriculum that is so comprehensive that by the time you go to the workplace is not wasting money on training or anything like that. You're just on the job. And also going back from high school, because I feel like in every transition, there's a big disconnect. From high school, there's a huge disconnect into uni. From university, there's a huge disconnect into the workplace. And you find that company owners are frustrated by us saying these people have good grades, but they're not performing. Sure. That's why you would have a person who cum laude, but at work they're struggling. They have frustrations, mental health issues. And it's not because they're incapable, but it's the thing of, do you have the ability to be able to learn certain things? Being able to learn something fast is actually a skill that people take for granted, and sometimes I love also that you mentioned online courses. It is important that you ask yourself, like you map. I love that you said you're much of a planner. I love planning, right? But I'm more of what's going to happen if this turns out. Like, I'm a result person, right? So I'm more like, okay, I'll plan, but is it going to give me the result? If I don't eat for 90 days, am I really going to be 30 kgs low? I'm that person. So I play out different outcomes before I actually pursue something.
Sure.
But with what you said, in as much as we plan, it's important to have sort of a career vision board, right? Where you say, okay, I'm an accountant, right? Or I want to be an accountant. Where do I want to specialize? Oh, I want to specialize in auditing. Okay, from junior, do I make senior? From senior, do I make director? And what can I do best to be able to get to those positions, 100%. Right? 100%. And how do I equip myself? Then that's where you start, your environment matters. That's where you start surrounding yourself, even on your social medias. Like I said, I love that all of these leaders, these corporate baddies, and everybody is on social media. You start following people that are in positions that you would like to occupy one day 100%. And see the type of skills they have. Try to match them or top them, So yes, and then now we're gonna go into your business, child. Now that we're done with the country stuff, right? Okay. So in high school, what did you want to be? What was your dream job?
Ma'am, the only thing that I knew is that I love accounting.
Really?
I love accounting and maths, and I was like, what is there to be done? So I'm like, okay, there's accountant, there's bookkeeping. That's the level that I knew accounting to be. So if I'm doing accounting and I'm working, I'm happy.
Okay.
And then come grade 11, I did so well in physics, and then I was like, perhaps a doctor.
I love it.
And then my dad loved the idea. You know how parents are. He loved the idea. Hey, bo, a doctor, first doctor in the family.
Yeah.
And then I was like, nah, I don't see myself dealing with blood.
Okay.
I don't see the function of being a doctor does not appease to me, but the title, I was like, okay, no, I'm a doctor, so and so. Sure. And then I said with myself, I was like, nah, I'm not going into there. I had a bursary, and my mom was fighting me. She's like, ma'am, you have a bursary. You're going to choose accounting where you don't even have a bursary for. I was like, God is going to make a way. So, and then that's how I started with accounting to university, although I didn't know the bigger picture about what I want to do and whether I want to be a CA, because there's no CA to reference at home. I didn't know that. I only found about CAs in university.
Okay. So now this bursary that you had, how did you get it? Was it because you were performing?
Yeah,
you were
they selected top 3 from my grade 11 class, and then that's how they gave it.
All right. So now you decide, okay, you want to go for accounting. What universities did you apply at? And what was your inspiration? Did you have like a particular thing to say, I want to study at Wits? Because everybody wants to study at Wits. I want to study UJ or whatever the case may be. What was your process and experience in that time?
So I applied almost everywhere.
Okay.
And then I got accepted in UKZN, Rhodes, and UJ.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, I'm from Eastern Cape. Rhodes is like the closest place at home, and I've always stayed away from home. So I went to boarding from when I was 12. So I was like, let's go back home because I was in Durban. Let's go back home, closer to home. Rhodes is closer to home. And then my dad was like, nah, Rhodes, go back, go to Johannesburg. And I've never been to Johannesburg.
At all.
My parents have never been. So listen, they're doing it the second time now, because the first time they took me to Durban, which they've never been to as well, to study, and they've never seen the place that I was staying at. I don't know. Yeah,
Your parents
listen.
trust you, and I'm glad that you turned out well, hey, so that we don't have to blame them and say
And then,
you
like,
sent the
if
child away.
you know, and they did it again. They put me in a bus to Joburg when I was accepted at UJ, and they've never been here. So, and then my dad was like, because I have a family that is this side in Pretoria, though. They're like, no, if you need anything, they're close by.
Sure.
So choose Johannesburg instead. That's how I chose UJ. I didn't really have much of a decision making in that. I really wanted Rhodes because it was closer to home, and I felt like I've been away from home for the longest time of my life. Let's just come back home. And then my dad's like, go further.
You know, from what you're saying, I feel like you've been taught independence from a very young age, which is I commend your parents for that. Though in real time, I think it looks tough.
I was like, do you guys hate me? What's going on? Are you chasing me away?
You know, but like I feel like it has probably shaped the type of woman you've become now, right? So looking at, I note that you mentioned that you went to boarding school, right? How was that experience like? At what age did you go to boarding school?
12. So I was going to do grade 7. So I did grade 6 in Eastern Cape, and then from grade 7 to grade 12, I was there. It was amazing. It was really amazing. I learned to really make decisions on my own. I'm the last one of 6. So my parents kind of showed me a lot. So now I'm there and making those decisions and having them to trust me as well.
Yeah.
And also the board master made me like oversee some of the people that I was studying with, my peers. So it really, when I look in hindsight, it was great. But there are times where they'd feed us the brown porridge. Ma'am, I'm only used to white porridge.
Okay.
They're like, no, you're going to eat this. I'm like, please call my mom. My mom is going to attest to this. Because they didn't believe that I didn't eat the brown one. They're like, we don't even know that. We don't eat that at home. See, that's like, I'm like, we don't eat that at home. So those are the challenges where you have to eat something because it's there. Secondly, you eat in times. You lose your stuff. You lose this. You need to constantly asking your parents for stuff. Those are really like, I'd say entry level, but there was nothing hectic that I experienced personally. Yeah.
Would you say, did it impact how you show up in terms of routine? Because my understanding with boarding school, it's like if you're not up by 5, the water is going to get cold, the food is going to finish.
Yeah.
So are you very meticulous about your times when you do what? And maybe that's why you're such a planner.
I was about to say, listen, you actually say that for me. That's why I am a planner, because everything was so programmed. You know, this time I'm doing this. At this time I'm back home. We're washing our socks. And Saturday they used to take us to the pool and bluff. And then we used to swim. We come back. We need to do our homework with each other. So there's always been a plan. So when anything takes me out of my plan,
he's like, no.
Even now and in my adulthood, funny enough, I'm diverting a bit. When I was sitting and studying the 4 a.m. like plan, where I'm waking up at 4 a.m., it was like vibes at most. I'm like, I want to be a 4 a.m. girl. And then God was like, you need to be a 4 a.m. because you need to function well. The things that I'm entrusting you needs you to be disciplined like that. I was like, isn't just like for aesthetics? Like, no. You have to. So even when I don't want to, I have to, because if I don't wake up at that time, I won't have devotion. I won't go to the gym. I won't make time at work. I won't do, because I do a lot of things. And when I do so many things, I need to make sure that my 9 to 5 doesn't suffer. In fact, they don't have to see that I do all these other things.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So those are the things that I get to do due to being so programmed, and it works for me. It works for me.
I love that. I love the whole thing of being intentional. I feel like you had to deviate to that so that you troll me. I felt trolled because I'm also like, I really love doing things that are important. I love doing things outside of work, things that actually make my heart jump, like being seated here on this podcast. Is actually by the fact that I'm able to wake up earlier, I'm able to do ABCD so that I don't have to do work at this point in time and all of that. So sometimes I feel like, it's just for vibes and stuff. But you mentioning that if God has entrusted you with certain things, and you need to have the quality time to be able to do those things so that you operate at your best level. I love that. And then now that you decide to go to UJ, how was your experience at UJ?
Guys, undergrad, let me just be specific. Undergrad was a bliss. I was the most top performing student. You know,
Love
distinction
it.
left, right, and center. I'm happy. It's nice. I even volunteered to career assessment where we help students and some of the staff members to do their CV, interview skills. So that really broadened my understanding of the career space.
Sure.
Because I'm dealing with different people, updating their CVs and how to go through career assessments and so forth. So I did that. I stayed in a commune outside of campus. That also stretched me because I was not shielded as much. I needed to cover myself. And it was an experience. I really enjoyed it on an academic level. I didn't have much friends though.
Okay.
I had like one best friend and she left, and then I had another one, and it was just like that. I'd sit in the first rows of the lecturing room. So it was really nice. I think when I look back there, I could have made more friends.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was so focused because I wanted to pass. You know, I was like, no distractions, no boys, no friends, nothing, no partying, nothing. It's just God, me, and my books. So it was that experience. Truly loved it a lot. And then post-grad, oh, child. There's what you call CTA. Accounting students will know.
Sure.
It will test you. That year, I have no idea. I probably need another video for it. It was hard. First time attempt, didn't make it.
Sure.
And it was COVID 2020. Gave it my utmost best. Second year, I'm trying again now, 2021. My mom's like, I don't have money.
What? So do you guys have to, how much is CTA? Is it like?
CTA is like 55 in my years.
Okay.
5K.
Is it like, do you have to, how does it work? Maybe take us through, before we go in depth to your journey, right? Maybe take us through to the requirements of making a content or going through into articles.
Yeah. Let me tell you, when I applied for BCom Accounting, I applied because I was in UK at KZN that time, Durban. So they have a BCom Accounting only. That is like general. In my head, I thought it will obviously pivot me to CA, right?
Okay.
Then I got to varsity. There are two types of BCom Accountings in UJ. There's a BAc, which is a Bachelor of Accounting, and a BCom. BCom is more general. After you're done, you can decide to be an auditor, you can pursue finance or accounting.
Oh, it's broad.
It's broad. It's tax. It just gives you the entry level to the 4 disciplines, and then you have an honors year after whatever you want to do. Then the Bachelor of Accounting takes you straight to CA.
Okay.
So I did the BCom one, which I needed a bridging year post my 3 years of the degree.
Okay.
And then I did the bridging course, and then after that I had to do the honors year, which is CTA.
Okay.
So CTA, the last year then you start your articles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why it's really so hard. And you must pass everything at the same time.
Sure.
So it's unlike then in undergrad where you pass this and you take another leg and you do that and you just need to pass everything at the same time. And if you fail well, you need to come do them again. So that is why it's so tough. So that's my journey academically. And then once I passed CTA, and then I started my articles.
Okay.
So in my second attempt of CTA, I didn't have a bursary because my bursary only covered my undergrad.
Sure.
So my mom's like, I don't have money for you, ma'am. And I knew that this is the only thing that I want to do. I had no other alternative. What do we do now? I looked for a job in my most distressed time because first of all, I'm dealing with the failure. Now I need to find funding.
Because, I needed us to take a pause there. Because, I mean, from how you've described yourself, you're a high academic performer.
Yeah.
And then you experienced this first failure of your life. How did that make you feel? What was going on in your mind? And how did you deal with it?
Sure, ma'am. Let me tell you now, I'm going to speak from a believing point. I felt God turned his back on me.
What?
Serious. And because I was so hopeful. You know, I was so hopeful. I tried my best. They also gave me an attempt to do the SAP for all 4, right, in Jan. I'm like, God, you give me another chance. You know, there's absolutely no ways.
Yeah.
You could have left me fail first time around, but you give me another chance now, so I am going to pass.
Sure.
And I'm waiting for my results. I'm sitting in the room, and I'm like, my name is not there. I was like,
what's going
God,
on?
you hate me because why? And you know, being in a high achiever, everybody around you is saying you've passed.
Yes,
Like
it's by
passed.
default, and I think that's
100%.
what stresses us the most is that you're not really. Okay, you're sad because you failed. I mean, but your pressure comes from everybody says by default that you passed, you got the job.
That's why I think I've even gotten to a point whereby when I'm applying for stuff, I don't tell people because I think people just think she
Things
got
are
it.
easy.
And then when you don't get it, it's like makes you feel so terrible.
You know, sometimes it makes you feel, but they don't even feel terrible on your behalf.
Yes.
It's the inner thought that's feeling like, I've let them down. How are they processing my failure?
Sure.
But you haven't taken time to process your own failure and look inside into your own and how you're feeling.
Sure.
I really felt like God had turned his back on me. I was like, do you want me to do this again? I don't have funds. What's your plan? And when we did the year again, I had to work. Now it's even worse. I'm like, child, there's no other way. And God said, you have no plan B, you're going to get this done. So I didn't apply to UNISA because you can apply to UNISA to all the other varsities that offer CTA. I was like, I'm not going to do this. If I don't pass here,
that's that.
So, and then I'm working, I'm traveling to PE, I come back and then I have to ride. I'm using a bus at that time. In the morning, I need to go to UJ and ride. UJ is full time.
Yeah.
Work is full time.
Sure.
So 8 to 5, it's work. And then 8 p.m. to 12, it's study. So it was horrible. It showed me resilience, though, and showed me a good God that loves me. And I didn't think I would recover from that.
Yeah.
Then I did eventually pass.
To a person, because I feel like you guys take it so serious. Like lawyers take board exams. I always see how people write these long paragraphs on how when they finally pass their CTA and stuff like that. To a person that may be at home and that is going through that season of failure or having to redo it, what would you say to them?
If you want it, do it again. And I get these questions a lot. Someone told me that they did it 3 times. I was like, go again. Yeah. Go again. You are going to get it. Eventually. And this time around, do your homework. What are the issues? Do you have sometimes it's like personal issues. It's not academic. If you need to remove those personal or work around that environment, okay, I need to change how I feel. Or if I'm experiencing something that is affecting me mentally, I need to work on that. Because if you're affected mentally, it's going to affect you academically. It's finances. What are the ways to help me get my finances? Because if you're stressing with finances, you're not going to perform well. Secondly, do I actually study? Because sometimes we think we are studying.
But we're not. We're just reading through.
You know, sit with yourself. Get a mentor if you have to, so that you get someone who has been there and can guide you if you want to do it. But also I'm cautious of the fact that some people want other people's dreams. They have no idea why they want what they want. So for as long as Oyena has it, I want it. She did it twice. I'm gonna make sure I did it 10 times because and when you have it, that's when you have it, you're like, what was I?
Yeah, that's true. If you're living on someone's dream, it always feels like meh when you get it. Like you realize that what was all that for?
100%.
Yeah.
So sit with that. Do you want it? You gotta find it. 2, this is really what you want. If it's not, find something else so that you don't waste your time in investing in something that you don't want. And guys, I need to say this. I can't take the credit. God is so good. I've done my life with God. You know, the heavens would turn their back on me for what to say it's all me and my intellect. The ability to study the right things that they're going to ask on that paper.
Wisdom.
It's divine direction, you know, divine insight. Because the curriculum is also so big, you never know what they're going to ask.
Very broad.
So you need insight from above. So don't do it without God. That's on me for free. Don't do it without God.
Free advice.
Please.
Tubo
like that, cherry on top.
Yeah, so love that. And then now you go through this thing of having to redo your CTA. You have a moment where you feel like God has turned your back away from you. How do you then feel when you get those results that you've passed?
Did I not cry? And that time I was in PE.
Yeah.
Did I not cry? Because I'm crying filled with joy, but at the same time, relief.
Yes.
Relief. And let me tell you, Vaughn, I've always believed that I have a life beyond CTA.
Yes.
There was just this insight that says you have an incredible life beyond this year.
Bigger picture.
You know, and that's, for me, I have to say, I felt like that year was quite spiritual in a sense that spiritual attacks were there because of the life that was on the other side. So that's why I couldn't do it without prayer. So I'm having it, I'm feeling like I've conquered it. God has conquered it for me. I'm excited to start this life that I don't know how it looks like, but I knew the only barrier was this honors year, CTA. So I'm excited. I'm calling my mom. I'm crying. My mom can't even hear what I'm saying. I'm like, I passed. Also, our parents don't know this journey.
Yes.
It's like, you've passed your undergrad. What do you mean?
I feel like what's always funny